Hey there, bass players. Ryan Medora here, and I wanted to provide you with another video lesson to accompany my new ebook, Beginner Improvisation for Bass Players. So you can actually download this for free. Just head over to my website, ryanmedora.com. Go to the ebook page and it's all yours. And the book is going to feature a bunch of different exercises to help you get comfortable moving through chords. Now, so many of us get stuck in this rut where we're like, oh man, all we can do is play the root note. I don't know what else to play. I don't know the other notes that sound good. And the answer to that is really like, oh, well, again, figure out the key, figure out the chord and the chord quality, whether it's major or minor or diminished or augmented, and then getting comfortable with your neck and knowing the fretboard well enough that you can find these notes. You know, you can figure out where these patterns lay on the fretboard. So we're going to focus on a chord progression that goes 1, 4, 1, 5. This is what that means. If we're in the key of A, I can play my A major scale. And if I say 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going from A to D. The A major chord to a D major chord. Then the 5 is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to E. So I'm going to have an E major chord. Another thing you can do, which I suggest doing, is you can actually find this E here on the 7th fret of your A string, or you can catch it low with your open E. Same note, still works. So just that amount of flexibility, knowing that you can find the same note at a different place on the neck or off the neck, you know, if it's an open E string, that's going to open up some possibilities for you to start improvising a bass line. Now, I'm going to play through the chord progression just using the root notes so that you can get comfortable with what this sounds like. So again, I'm just going to go A to D, the 4 chord, back to A, down to the 5, my open E, back to A. Now, this is a super common chord progression. You're going to hear this on early rock and roll tunes, country records, R&B tunes. It's pretty ubiquitous. So once you get comfortable knowing where just the root notes are, we want to start integrating other notes that we know are just going to sound good. So the first thing we want to do is pull from the notes in the arpeggio or the triad. This means that we want to find the root, the third, and the fifth for each of these chords. So we find our A. To find the third of that, we go 1, 2, 3, and we find a C sharp. So we have our A as the root note and the C sharp as the third. Now we're going to find the root and the third for the other chords. So we're going to go to D, the next chord in the progression, and we're going to find the third, which is an F sharp. We're going to do the same thing with E, where we can use our open E, and then we realize the third of that is G sharp. The cool thing about this is we are just a half step away from A. So this is a great way to integrate voice leading. Voice leading means that the notes that you choose are going to help pull your ear or kind of direct the listener to the next chord in the progression. Bass players are super responsible for voice leading. So if you're not familiar with this concept, get hip to it. But the whole point is to play a note and for it to create the sensation that it's leading you somewhere else. So to play this chord progression using the root and the third as a leading tone, it'll sound like this. Sound pretty good already. The next thing you can do is integrate the fifth. So now we're going to find the root note and the fifth of that chord. So if I go to A, here's my root, the fifth of it is E. This is also the same as our 5 chord. Get it? The fifth, the interval of a fifth is also the 5 chord in the key of A. Crazy. Then you want to do the same thing for the D chord. So you want to go to D, you want to find the fifth of that. That's going to be an A. And then you want to go to your E and find the fifth of that, which is B. So to play the same bass part but using the fifth as this leading tone, it'll sound like this. The next thing you can do is integrate the full triad. So you want to play the root, the third, and the fifth. And this is going to get really cool. I'm going to play the basic rhythm for you, and then we're going to get a little bit more creative with it. So again, to play the root, the third, and the fifth, of each chord, 1, 4, 1, 5, it'll sound like this. Pretty groovy. What's even groovier is you now have the beginnings of a walking bass line. So if you were to take the same notes but just play a straight rhythm of quarter notes, so basically playing on beats 1, 2, 3, and 4, it'll sound like this. And all of a sudden you're walking. So this is a really cool thing. You've probably heard this stuff on especially early rock and roll records and maybe jazz tunes as you're just starting to go through some simple chord progressions. But by giving it that quarter note pulse, you're kind of just walking through the arpeggio and doing your job as the bass player by outlining the chord. So the next thing you can do is spice it up and give it kind of like a reggae feel. So again, the notes are going to be the same. I'm just changing the rhythm, and it's going to sound something like this. That's pretty groovy. The next thing you want to do, as if you don't have enough stuff already, is say, oh man, I can actually flip some of these notes around and create a different sounding bass line. So you can take the notes of the arpeggio and say, oh, instead of playing 1, 3, 5, I'm going to play 1, 5, 3. So I'm going to play the root note, the fifth, and then the third. So if you wanted to do that, it'll sound like this with our basic rhythm. If you want to give it kind of that walking bass feel with these straight quarter notes, it'll sound like this. Then, if you want to get even more creative with it and give it that cool reggae feel, you could play something like this. So I think we're jamming already. This is, again, all about showing you that there are a lot of cool options just from picking out the chord progression, knowing the key of the song, and knowing what the arpeggios are. You can also integrate other things like scalar motion and pentatonic motion, but for now, if you're just starting to create your own bass lines and improvise, this is a great tool for just breaking away from that root note. So I hope you dug this. Again, go to my website and you can download the free ebook, and there are going to be tons of exercises there, including some of the ones from this video. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and keep tabs on all the good stuff I've got going on. So again, have a great day. Keep it groovy.